apartment, and it was kind of had something spilt on, or you couldn't quite
go back and rewind,
but you could make out that.
Oh, good. It hadn't been long.
And
this just
what
come
did
back.
you determine from watching this video that he was carrying?
A shovel.
Oh, shovel.
And what time was that?
That's not good.
That's going to be at
The time where he's dumping the body. Never good. That's never good.
about 10:53.
And what do we see him carry to the truck after that?
And then we'll see him roll a wheelbarrow out to the box truck.
Trying to put that trim on.
Okay. Whatever that's good. I believe we'll be able to get that one since it's a short clip, hopefully on the slideshow. Okay. Going to play this. Is that what you were just referring to?
Yes, it is.
Baker? Now, after, I believe he arrived, you can remind me again, he arrived back at the home at what time? 10:34?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, what are we viewing here?
This is showing the ping location.
Of Timothy Herrington's phone?
Yes.
From what time to what time?
From 10:38 a.m. to 3:23 p.m.
All right. And as you can see, there's surveillance outside of the house, able to see if Mr. Herrington remained at the home from 10:38 a.m. to 3:23 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe we are in our next sort of route. At 3:23 p.m., where does, per viewage of surveillance, Mr. Herrington, or the phone dump, you can explain where it came from, where does he go when he leaves at 3:23 p.m.?
All right, so 3:23, he leaves his parents' house, and he goes back, what I'd say, back up toward town, toward Grenada, toward the town area. And we see him at 3:25 p.m. passing First Baptist Church, 3:31 passing Dollar General, and then at 3:38 he's headed east on Highway 8 passing the Walgreens, and then at 3:40 he passes Lakeway Sporting Goods, still headed east. 10 minutes later, at 3:50, he's headed back west, passing Lakeway Sporting Goods.
If you could hold right there for a second. You viewed
Excusez
surveillance of the
moi.
box truck going and passing these locations.
Yes.
Per Timothy Harrington's phone data, was there a Apple trips made to a certain location at this time?
There, let me refer to my notes for just a second, please.
Right.
don't recall, right off the top of my head, looking at my notes, I don't recall if there was an Apple trip made at this time or not. I'm not sure.
But Mr. Harrington he's from Grenada, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and so he drove out east and then back west 10 minutes later, correct?
that's correct.
And then where do we go next?
Then he goes past Walgreens 358 and then turns north on, I guess it's Commerce Street 51, and passes Family Dollar at 401. We don't get him a location from him or see him on camera or anything like that until.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I couldn't really understand.
Yes, so we don't get him on camera or anything like that after that until a little later on. But we did have a phone location.
Phone ping location for this location, the barbershop?
Yes,
Okay. And you said it was the general, of course, area of the phone ping in that location. Is that latitude and longitude?
yes,
And did you plot that yourself?
yes,
And were you able to corroborate that in any other way?
yes. So
Man, it took forever to get that lighting fixed. Man,
he had made a note earlier in the day on his phone to get a haircut, and he also had cashed out an individual that afternoon that was associated with the barbershop.
Okay. So after 441, I believe you said at 401, you view surveillance from the Family Dollar, but until 441, you don't see him on camera again. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you said that the phone ping location data or location from the phone logged it in the area of the barbershop. Does the phone log from your review of the records all locations or just significant locations? How does it do it? Or what does it do?
Generally just significant locations, or when an app or something like that creates a significant location, if a trip was made, or like in a Maps app type thing, or if there's someone somewhere he's visited a good bit, there's kind of different parameters of why it would consider it a significant location.
Okay, so now we're into July 8 at 4:41 p.m. Going to our next slide. Where should we be looking? What's the next significant time?
We'd be at the top there at Regions Bank.
Okay. And at Regions Bank, were you able to catch him on surveillance footage there?
Yes.
And what direction was he headed in?
It was headed west.
Would that be towards Wade Incorporated?
Yes, it would.
And I believe we had previously introduced the Wade Incorporated for ID, the Wade Incorporated video. So he then drives back out west towards Wade Incorporated.
That's correct.
And why is there a jump in time? You have 6:21 and 6:34. What's happening there?
He headed west out Highway 7 there. Of course, we don't have him on camera, but the next time we have him on camera is at 6:34, headed back east past Wade Incorporated.
And then after, do you know, are you aware of what's out there by Wade Incorporated?
Lincoln Road, where he was earlier, his grandfather's property. As far as being out further west, I'm not very familiar with the area.
So that's still in the area of like Lincoln Road, where I believe you said there was neighborhoods and some woods and access to the Yalabusha River?
Yes, that would have been north, yes.
So what's the next significant location or that he was able to be caught on footage?
All right, from there we go to Burger King, headed east, still headed east. We go to Circle K, in the area of Circle K, at 6:53 p.m.
And I want to point to that latitude and longitude. Did you pull that data from the phone dump?
Yes, I did.
And did you plot that data, that latitude and longitude, to that location?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to corroborate that Mr. Harrington visited a Circle K through a receipt or anything else of that nature?
Yes, we were able to find a receipt. Or in his financial records, we saw that there was a purchase made there at Circle K.
The next significant location is where?
It'd be Renaissance Bank, where we saw it on the ATM, as we referenced earlier.
I believe you said, just so I'm clear, you saw him at the ATM?
Yes,
Is that when earlier before lunch you testified that you all had gotten his phone or his, I apologize, financial records, and there was an ATM transaction,
that's correct.
and you were able to pull the ATM video to confirm he was at Renaissance Bank at 6:57 p.m.?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And where do we go next?
So from there, he's going back to his parents' residence. Got him on First Baptist Church, 7:12, and then arriving at his parents about 7:16.
So I want to show at this time, Your Honor, State's Exhibit. It's the Renaissance Bank video 44, which I believe has already been admitted into evidence.
It's been admitted, you can show it.
Is this the video you stated that y'all watched when you were doing the investigation and actually let you know that he was in Grenada in the box truck?
Yes, it is.
I'll play that. Now, as we're watching that, earlier in the day, we saw Mr. Harrington. He's now come into town, gone home. He was wearing, what kind of shoes was he wearing earlier in the day?
It was white and black shoes. They appeared to be some kind of tennis shoes, basketball shoe type styles, what it looked like to me.
And in this video, now at 6:55 p.m., what shoes does he appear to have changed?
Yes, he appears to be wearing rubber boots or some kind of boot.
And I believe since the wheelbarrow and shovels were put into the car at his parents' house around the 10 o'clock hour of July 8th, has he been to drop them back off yet?
No, he has not.
Now, I believe before we watched that Renaissance Bank video, we know that he made it back to his parents' home at the 7:18, be the time of that?
Yes, it would be about that time, yes.
Okay, you're showing here in your slide that the ping data for the phone is located at the home from 7:18 to 9:28. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that would be his parents' home?
His parents' home.
Okay, so were you able to confirm if, just like before, Tim Harrington stayed at the home with his phone? Were you able to confirm at this time if he stayed at the home with his phone?
Not the whole time, no.
Okay. And what did you view that let you know that he left?
The neighbor video camera.
As opposing counsel has been fond of saying, the phone is the location of the phone, correct?
Yes.
So at 7:41, where was his phone located?
At his parents' residence.
Sustain the objection.
I apologize.
Finish the question.
In what area was his phone data pinging?
In the area of his parents' house.
Okay. And I believe it just went by as we were watching. Somehow. We're going to watch. What are we going to see here?
Mr. Herrington walks out to the box truck and then pulls away from the driveway.
Do we see him unload the wheelbarrow and shovels at this time?
No.
So what is the significance of this slide?
So this is just a Google Earth map image referencing the neighborhood that Tim's parents live in. But then as I've kind of been discussing here about the cameras and so forth, each time he went back north up toward town, and we were able to catch him on a camera somewhere very relatively close to those two ways that he would have went north. We'd have caught him on one or two cameras. However, when he left here, he was not captured on a camera at any location anywhere. And so the only place he could have went as he came out of his parents' house was, or the neighborhood, would have been south on Perry Road.
So the other footage we watch where we always see past one of the churches or something, there's only how many ways? 2 ways?
2 ways.
And that direction is back towards what?
What I would say back towards town, or back toward the main town center where all the shopping centers, the places of businesses are, and so forth.
And at 7, and have you been out to this neighborhood?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you were able to see that for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, and 7:41, when he pulls off, did you capture him on either of the other 2 cameras where you did before?
No, we did not.
What time does he then return to his parents' home?
8:35 p.m.
And is that what we're watching here?
Yes.
So after Mr. Herrington returns to his parents' home, what do we see next?
All right, we see that he removes the wheelbarrow from the box truck at 8:40 p.m.
Oh, did I change it too early?
He was walking back up the drive.
All right. So per the review of the data from Mr. Harrington's phone, what happens next?
Then he stays there at his parents' house for just a little while, and then he creates another Apple Maps trip from his parents' house to the links in Oxford, Mississippi.
And at the 10:49 time, were you able to confirm via the phone data that you reviewed if Mr. Harrington's phone ping data was in the general area of Lafayette Place Apartments?
Yes.
Lafayette,
That
not
was still
Lafayette.
July 8th day.
Hmm.
What else did you learn from Mr. Harrington's phone data?
All right, so July 8th, that night from 11:27 to 11:28, during that time.
Does that dude talk?
Mr. Harrington has looked up Mr. Lee's Twitter account again.
I don't know what's the deal with them.
Looking at his
Him,
account,
looks like he's
replies,
mumbling.
media, that type thing.
And Detective Baker, at this time in the investigation, had Jay Lee been reported missing by his mother?
Yes, by this time, yes.
Has anything been reported in regards to the community yet?
No, not yet.
So we're moving into July 10th. On July 10th, tell me what we're looking at on the left.
So on the left is UPD press release that was released on Facebook on July the 10th. at 2:40 p.m.
And the press release was
I don't know what's the deal here. This is driving me nuts though.
in relation to what?
It was in relation to
Yeah,
Jay
the
Lee
audio
being
is not
missing.
synced.
Picture of Jay Lee, and also had a picture of his vehicle, asking if anyone had any information to contact the police.
So it was asking if anyone had seen Jay Lee or his car. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So had the car been located at Molly Bar Trail's apartment as of July 10th at 2:40 p.m.?
No, it had not.
So if look us to the right, this picture here, what is that from?
This is from phone extraction, and it's a Google search for Molly Bar Apartments.
And that would be the phone extraction of Timothy Herrington's phone?
Yes, it is.
And when was that search conducted per your review of the phone extraction?
At 3:10 p.m. on July the 10th.
And that's of Molly Bar Trail's apartments?
Yes, it's Molly Bar Apartments, Oxford, Mississippi, is what he searched.
And in your review of, I believe you all got a portion of Mr. Harrington's Google search history. Had you ever seen him search Molly Bar Apartments before?
No, I did not.
And had the car been reported to have been found at Molly Bar yet?
No, it has not been reported to be found yet.
So we are now still in July 10th. On the left, what are we looking at?
Looking at a Google search, Ole Miss student found in lake at 4:36 p.m.
And on the right, what are we looking at?
At people.com, Alley Costiel murder article at 4:33 p.m.
I believe earlier, well, you wouldn't know this technically, but earlier in the trial, there's been some testimony regarding Allie Costiel. Can you tell us who was Allie Costiel?
Alley Costiel was a Ole Miss student that was murdered by her boyfriend, and her body was found out by Florida State.
In your review of Timothy Harrington's phone data and Google data, had you ever found him prior to after Jay Lee went missing, searching up true crime or looking into any kind of murder articles, anything like that?
No, I did not see any articles like that.
What were the things that Mr. Harrington primarily Googled or searched for prior to Jay Lee being missing?
He searched clothing, famous people. He also searched workout stuff, things of that nature.
And still July 10th at 4:53 p.m., what is Mr. Harrington looking at?
He views a FoxNews.com article on Alley Costiel's murder.
Now we're into 10:37 p.m. on July 10th. What are we looking at here? It's the first time we've seen this kind of screen.
So this is a Facebook search warrant returned. There to the left is what the record would look like as they sent it to us. Of course, the middle there is just a blown up portion of part of that record, which shows a Facebook search of Tony Faris at 10:37 p.m.
And on July 10th?
On July 10th, yes.
And who is Tony Faris?
He is an attorney.
And who did he represent?
He represented Alley Costiel's murder. I forget the guy's name.
We're still in July 10th. Were there any further, tell us what we're looking at actually, just tell us what we're looking at.
Okay, so this here is another Facebook return record. There it's on the left. And it was July the 10th, 11:46 p.m. And on the right is what it looked like, the Oxford press release on July the 10th of Oxford Police Department. The search that was conducted on Facebook was Oxford, Mississippi Police Department.
And at this time, is this the first time Oxford Police Department had shared, I guess, UPD's press release?
Yes,
And just so we're clear, Mr. Harrington also Googled other things that same day?
yes, he does.
But prior to Jay Lee's disappearance, had he, from the record we have, Googled Oxford Police Department?
No, not that I recall.
All right, to July 11th. This is a different kind of record that we're looking at. What are we looking at here?
So this was pulled from the phone extraction. Mr.
Let
Herrington
me
did some
see if
Google
I can
searches
fix
on
this. It's
Monday,
driving
July
me
11th.
nuts.
Different.
Might-
And then later on in the evening, he was here on
There we
campus for some event. And we got him on camera both places.
So you were able to see him on campus in the evening on July 8th?
Yes.
Through footage from the university?
Yes,
Okay. And then earlier in the day, I believe Jay Lee sent his last text open around 6:56. Is that correct?
6:03.
6:03, I apologize. And when he sent that text, was Javon Franklin in Oxford at that time?
No, he was not.
What about Rashad Hayes? We able to look into that person?
He was also cleared by phone extraction. He was at his house in the county and so forth, and there
No,
was
this isn't working.
cooperating.
There we go.
This is another one where coalescing the person's location with the phone.
I can't understand anything they're objecting to. Like at all.
Rashad Hayes, were you ever able to clear him based on the location of his phone?
Of his phone ping.
His phone
Yes,
ping, I apologize, his phone ping. Thank you for correcting me. Yes,
yes, by his phone ping.
all right. And was it in the area of Lafayette Place or Canvas Walk Apartments?
No, it was not.
Phone thingy. And as to anyone else that you looked into?
The next one would be Dominique Goolsby.
Okay. Tell me who that is, why they were a person of interest.
So he owned one of the vehicles that drove into Malabar Trails 20 minutes before Jay Lee's car. And so we were able to figure out that he was actually in Mississippi Department of Corrections custody at the time. And his girlfriend was driving his car that lived at Malabar Trails.
So he was in prison at that time.
Yes.
Anyone else?
So there was a guy named AK.
Mhm. And was he a student at Ole Miss, AK?
He was a foreign exchange student.
And were you able to, well, why was he a suspect?
He was seen days prior around Jay Lee's apartment, going into and around the apartment. So just looked into him because he was around the area.
And were you able to clear him?
Yes, he was at the Uncommon and at class.
When you say the uncommon, what is the uncommon?
The Uncommon is another apartment complex here in Oxford.
And you said he was also in class?
Yes,
And were you able to confirm that he was in both locations?
yes,
And was that during the time period of, I believe, 6:03 a.m.?
that's correct.
Tell me who the next person of interest or suspects that you all looked into were?
Next would be Keziah Carter,
And why did y'all look into Keziah?
because Keziah is the one that picked him up at the Rockets gas station. And so we looked into him.
Were you able to confirm if he was in close to Jay Lee, or had he been had any contact communication with Jay Lee?
No, he did not have any communication with Jay Lee.
And who else did you look into?
I looked into Tyson King.
And who was Tyson King?
Tyson King was Mr. Herrington's business partner in the moving company, little moving business that they had.
And why did you all look into him?
Because he was close to Timothy Herrington, and also the box truck. The box truck was around his apartment where it was parked at the links, and so we looked into him as well.
And were you able to clear Mr. King from the suspect list?
Yes, I was. He was in his hometown of Hattiesburg at the time of the murder.
And who else?
Juan Robertson.
And who was that?
Juan was in the box truck with Tyson King at the time that he was stopped. We talked to Juan, and there's no connection between him and Jay Lee.
Was he even working for their moving company at that time?
He was not.
So of all these people we went through, I believe Jay Bourne Bester, Roger Peterson, Kent Ware, Timberly Mathis, so on. When Jay Lee sent the 6:03 a.m. text,
Y'all, I'm learning to play with this software, so forgive
Tim
me.
Harrington.
was it to any of these people?
No, it was not.
And were any of these people confirmed to be in the area of Lafayette Place Apartments at this time?
No, they were not.
Do any of these people live at Lafayette Place Apartments?
No.
And the conversation that you all were looking into, the one between Red Eye and Jay Lee, were any of these people behind that account?
No, they were not.
Who was behind that account?
Timothy Harrington.
And after Jay Lee sent the open text, did he ever send another text to anybody on this list again?
No, he did not.
Brief indulgence.
That's weird.
And Detective Baker,
No, it's not what I
do you
want.
see the person that was the subject of your investigation, who's now been charged in Jay Lee's death in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Would you please point him out?
It's at the defense table in the middle of the blue jacket.
Your Honor, may the record please reflect that the witness is identified as the defendant. Brief indulgence, Your Honor. Your Honor, I tender the witness.
Thank you.
Secretary Baker, I want to ask you about, some of the things you talked about last first. Now, let's talk about Tyson King first. He never was, he was arrested the day, that y'all got the box truck, right?
No, he was not arrested.
He was placed in handcuffs, set on the curb of the street for 45 minutes, and then placed inside the box truck, told not to move for another hour and 45 minutes, and had a move on that day that he couldn't complete, right?
He said he did, yes.
Yeah. And the man that was with him that you talked about, was he placed in custody with Mr. King?
He was detained at the time as well,
He had
yes.
handcuffs on, right?
Yes.
And at that time, that you did that to Mr. King, you knew based on this was 25th or 26th, so
26.
I'm gonna say you, but your department handcuffed this young man.
That's normal.
Knowing, according to the timeline that we have, it's already been introduced in the evidence, he was in Hattiesburg, right? You knew
We didn't
that.
know that at the time.
Well, you didn't know he was in Hattiesburg at the time?
No, didn't know at the time when he was stopped.
You had no idea he was in Hattiesburg?
You know,
Did you have Mr. Herrington's phone records at that time off of his phone?
we did.
All right. Well, if you had those and you testified from the content of some of those already, then you knew that Mr. Herrington and Mr. Tyson had a conversation about Mr. Tyson being in Hattiesburg, right?
Yeah.
I left them at Love's house, you're gonna have to go get them. I'm in Hattiesburg, right?
Yes.
All right. You had no information that Tyson had all these records, and you had your Cellmark documents and everything we talked about. You knew that Tyson Love had no connection to anything that Tim Herrington and Jay Lee or Jay Lee and Mathis or Jay Lee,
You doing
J.
cross.
Kyle Haslett or whoever was in
It's
having
cross for
conversations
direct.
that night, you knew, did you not, that Tyson King had nothing to do with anything that night, didn't he?
Anything that night, yes, I would agree to that.
Excuse me?
I would agree that anything during the murder time, he did not, we would have known that he was
Call
not.
it murder time. We're gonna talk about that just a little bit. All right, listen, so you handcuffed him. He brought a lawyer
And
to the interview.
Not an objection to
Did.
relevance.
that's completely irrelevant.
You interviewed him, did you not? You interviewed Tyson King, and he told y'all he didn't want to talk until he had a lawyer, and Swayze Alford showed up with him, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when was that interview?
26.
The 26th of July. A man that you knew, based on your investigation, had zero to do with anything on the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th, had to hire a lawyer, come see you, talk to you, correct? He paid a lawyer, did he not, to come see you?
He did.
All right. You know whether or not he Google searched Mr. Alford's name?
I do not.
All right. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the other people. Now, Timberland Mathis, according to your testimony, was eliminated. He was a person of interest. He never really became a suspect, did he?
No.
All right. Well, during his interview, I believe, were you present during the interview with Detective Mahan or Lieutenant Mahan?
I'd have to refer to my report.
Recorded recollection. It's funny, it's rare for you and I to be able to do this, but cops get to do it all the time. And then testify from it. They should just refresh their recollection, but they get to testify off it. Some of them are so bad you want them to.
Well, anyway, just look at it for a minute, but you testified on direct examination that he was eliminated as a suspect by virtue of the fact that his ping location was at his apartment, and it appeared that he was searching some pornographic sites. Isn't that what you testified to?
Yes.
But he also, when Sergeant McGuire talked to him, during the course, what we've already brought out here a couple of days ago, that she described the fact that he made a comment about the what may have happened to Jay Lee before the press release came out too. Isn't that a fact?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Excuse me?
I don't understand what you're asking.
All right. Well, Timberland gave some information, as I understand, and it's been already sworn to under oath here, that he was fidgety, asked for said his stomach was hurting, things of that nature, gave inconsistent statements about his relationship with Jay Lee, that he at one point in time made a reference about hearing about it on the 9th, saw the press release, and it didn't come out till the 10th.
Your Honor, objection, it's ongoing, it's the question, it's just compound
Do you
question.
remember those things that he gave those statements in the report? He said she's opened up the whole file, Your Honor.
No question asked, just send me up one hand.
I got you. All right. Have you reviewed the summary of the statement that Captain Mahan, Agent Stratton, I believe in McGuire, wherein they made the statement that Mathis complained of having an upset stomach? Have you reviewed that through the file?
I don't recall that. I don't know. They reported that. I don't know.
I want to ask you another question. Mathis moved around a lot. When Jay Lee's name was mentioned, he would sit up straight with a perfect posture. Have you read that in any report?
I don't remember it. No.
Mathis consistently changed his story and timeline during the interview. Have you read any report by Shayla McGuire indicating that that was the substance of Mathis's statement, because she just testified he was eliminated as a suspect because of his ping location. Now, I'm gonna be perfectly clear, Detective. I'm not saying Mr. Mathis did anything wrong. All I'm saying is he gave deceptive information to your agency, right or wrong.
I don't know what Captain Mann, if that's who you're
All right.
talking about, I don't know how she felt.
All right, but Detective Baker, these interviews happened back in July of 2022. You just testified the way that Mr. Mathis was eliminated as a potential suspect. That had to include, did it not, his statement, verifying his whereabouts, where he said he was, and that was in the content of his statement, where he said he was, correct? So you testified on direct, that was the way that you got him eliminated as a suspect. So had you reviewed his statement to Detective McGuire or not?
As I said earlier, I saw them when we turned them over as a part of our case file, but I can't tell you what they say. That's a lot of pages. I don't know what every word everybody said.
I'm not asking, but y'all met several times and had meetings about people of interest and suspects, things of that nature. All I'm saying is, was that information provided to you when y'all got with OPD and UPD detectives, everybody working on the case? Do you recall getting that information?
No, I don't recall.
All right. Mathis explained at first, he didn't know that Jay Lee was male.
Objection, Your Honor, the witness has stated over and over again that he doesn't recall this information. He's not refreshing his memory. He's just attempting to do testimony, hearsay, without anything.
He's open to file.
If you're gonna ask him about the statement,
Thank you, sorry, Ian. Thank you, sorry, to hand the evidence ID. Find it. So is it a fair statement that what you're telling the court and the jury is that you eliminated him by virtue of the fact that his ping location said his phone was at his apartment?
Yes, that's part of how we eliminated him, yes.
All right. Let's go to, and I won't go through all these right now, but because I just want to understand what portions of the file that you have reviewed and what portions that you haven't reviewed. Have you reviewed the statements of Blaine Brown or Kent Ware or AKA AKA? Because you testified they were eliminated as potential people of interest, or Jose Reyes. Have you reviewed the statement of Jose Reyes before you came in here to testify today at any time?
Yes, it would have been a part of our investigation, yes.
Okay, so if you have, you know that he gave some deceptive information as well, did he not? Again, I want you to have understand, I'm not saying the young man has done anything wrong. All I'm saying is he gave deceptive information, did he not?
I don't know what somebody put, if that's what you're saying from a report, I don't know what you're talking about,
Okay,
deceptive information.
If you say you don't know, say I don't know, I don't remember. But he gave information initially that he was not good friends with Jay Lee, that a young lady by the name of Janelle would have better information on the whereabouts and the daily routine of Jay Lee. You remember the contents of that statement being in the file that you reviewed during trying to eliminate him as a suspect?
I don't remember the exact content, no, you have to show it to me.
you would dispute if Detective Mathis or Captain Mathis testified that fact, you leave it to her recollection, right?
Captain Mathis?
Mahan.
All right, so would you repeat the question with the correct name? The name threw me off.
She testified, Captain.
That was a
Mahan
horrible
testified
question.
that fact. You couldn't dispute
You
that.
lost a damn cop in it.
Mr. Reyes, he provided that information.
Yeah, but I could dispute that. That's her opinion. I
Okay.
mean, I don't,
That would be in her report.
right, that's her
Objection
report,
is
her
asked for
opinion.
conclusory opinion
Um,
on subjective matter.
that was smart.
Prosecutors didn't feel like objecting.
Your Honor, please see what, counsel shows.
Detective
D10.
D102. Detective, review this particular item appears to be page 59 of the 133-page report. It summarizes y'all's investigation. You recognize that?
Yes, it appears to be a UPD report, yes.
Can you read it for me real quick? Refresh your recollection as to the content of certain interviews.
Objection, Your Honor. Witness can't refresh his recollection with someone else's report. not
That's
his
correct.
recollection.
He is often testimony about who's been.
But he's looked at a lot of stuff. He's gonna let him do it.
On the basis of what their opinions are, what all of them say.
Does it have a Walmart sign on it?
Yes. This damn lawyer's taking forever. What's he reviewing? A book? Somebody was on mic. Ain't got no audio. What's up with that? Finally.
10:30 this morning.
Stop.
You have a chance to look through it.
Yes, and You asked about deception of Jose Reyes, correct?
Yeah, first of all, I'm asking you whether or not you had an opportunity to review it. If you had a chance to review it.
Yes, I read it.
Okay. I'll ask you, Judge has kind of instructed me to, not instructed me, we're gonna have to process it. This appears to be a summary of a statement. It's not, interview,
Not.
partial interview between, McGuire and Jose Reyes. Fair
No,
statement?
that's between Janelle and McGuire.
Correct. The references in this particular part of it, what Jose had told Shayla McGuire about the,
That is
Janelle.
the form of the question, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's a bad form.
That Janelle was the individual that would provide more information about Jay Lee than Jose, correct? That's what's in this.
The report does say something to the effect
It does say something to that effect.
of Jose saying, or Janelle, yes.
You're losing
Jose
with the
and Janelle.
jury, bro. You're losing them.
Mark is 102, is that?
102.
Okay.
You're losing the jury. They're gonna
Now,
say, what difference
I
does
want
it
to
make?
ask you about some of the other information that you use to eliminate certain individuals. Now, Khalid Fears was not, he was a person of interest primarily because he talked to Jay Lee apparently on the phone.
He's already testified.
uh,
This Khalid dude.
5:58 until sometime around 6:03 on the morning, in interest, right, the July the 8th morning, correct?
Khalid did talk to Janelle, yes.
And it come to your attention, during the time that you were eliminating him as a suspect, that he also was being deceptive about information, about his activity with Jay Lee as far as, whether or not they had used certain apps together, Grindr, BLK, things of that nature. It come to your attention that he might not have been completely honest about his involvement with Jay Lee.
I don't recall anything like that.
And did you know that at the time that Fears gave you that statement, did you have the benefit of the Snapchats between Fears and Jay Lee?
Are you asking at the time we talked to Fears,
The first time?
were we aware of the Snapchat? No.
When did you get Snapchat records of
Snapchat. Oh,
Jay Lee?
Lord.
I don't
Criminals
recall
don't use
exactly.
Snapchat. It is
Remember
not
seeing
foolproof.
Snapchat between Jay Lee and Fears? I assume once you got that, you looked at the Snapchat records between Fears and Jay Lee and a lot of different people, right?
Yeah, he talked to a lot of people, yes.
And a lot of those individuals, what we call hookups, people that you have numbers there, you weren't able to locate those individuals.
Just some speculation, right?
Sorry,
Characterizing as hookups.
I'll let him answer this cross-examination.
I'm gonna give him some leeway.
You understood based on your investigation that some of Jay Lee's activities involved hookups with people from the apps that he used, right?
Yes, it's possible.
It's possible, or did you find that as part of your investigation?
Jay Lee used apps, yes, he used dating apps.
You used dating apps, and it become part of the result of your investigation that on occasions that Jay Lee would meet people on those apps and have never met them before. That's how he met them, through the app, right? A lot of times.
It is possible. I don't know how Jay Lee met them, or if he did meet them, I don't know.
My question is, did you look into his Snapchat history, came up missing, to determine if there was any content in the Snapchat where Jay Lee and other people were talking or chatting, so you could find information that would lead you to a suspect that may have created his disappearance?
We did look into the other Snapchat users, or other people trying to cooperate stuff, yes.
Did you find a Snapchat between Mr. Fears and Jay Lee where they were talking about having a conversation about choking? Did you like choking, things of that nature?
Damn, choking.
Objection to relevance, Your Honor.
What the hell's the point? Yeah, that's an
I
objection
don't
I would
recall.
do.
You'd have to show me the artifact to go back.
The
and
judge
look
is
through.
real
I don't-
liberal with this. He's gonna
You
let a lot of
produce
stuff
that
come in.
Snapchat and I would look at it.
He
I
ain't
could
real
give you a better
worried.
answer.
Well, Detective, how far back did you go on Jay Lee's Snapchat in an effort to determine whether or not he may find somebody that could have caused his disappearance? How far back you go? I know you got the records at least back to July the 7th, right?
Yes, we would have at least the July the 7th, correct.
You did that, and you went back into May, correct?
I don't remember the exact date, but it would have been some time.
And I'm asking you again, when you looked in there, did you like, I'm not very good at it, but you click on there, on the Snapchat, search the word choking, or strangulation, choke out sex, to see whether or not Jay Lee had ever had conversations with anybody about having a preference for that type of activity?
I don't recall.
Would that have been important, detective, during the course of your investigation, to figure out whether or not that actually occurred? That Jay Lee or someone with him during the course of some type of sexual activity would have had some aggressive conversations between each other?
Yes, it would have been
That would
to,
be-
to identify any kind of,
The actual conversation was just been testified that it was in past
No,
or when we showed.
no, let's hold back on the speaking objection.
I'm just asking.
Briefly, what's the objection?
Your statement of the facts, you're trying to imply the wrong facts. The actual conversation was
Hang on a
just.
second. If you take the time you need to find the document you're referencing.
I'm just asking generally. did you do a
Typical
search
old country
for that
judge.
Conversation between Jay Lee and other people about some type, sexual activity along the same lines, choking or aggressive behavior, anything like that.
I don't think that's ever been in the evidence.
Arrested Mr. Herrington to determine whether or not you may develop a suspect. Did you do that?
we would have looked through the initial Snapchat user download that we did. We had not gotten the full return back by the time.
It
So
takes
it
them
wouldn't
a
have been
couple
a
days to
full-
get a full download on the phone. It's a massive
But
amount
yes,
of data.
somebody would have reviewed the Snapchat messages.
But I guess my question is, did you do that? I don't need to answer.
Then ask
I
him.
Control F, look for it. I don't recall. Somebody would have looked through that whole document and searched out everything that you're asking, yes.
Trying to find D3, Your Honor.
Will you approach, Your Honor?
Come on.
I don't know.
you've been identified previously as a Snapchat conversation from Khalil Fears, and the ID is Defense Exhibit D3. Does this appear to be the records that you recovered as a result of your Snapchat subpoena for the records of Snapchat of Sucker for J? That appear to be?
It appears to be like the records we've received, yes.
I don't want you to, if you would, tell me whether or not you could read right here, Sucker J for
This is dadgum borderline
whatever that is. Read that for me.
coaching a
All the way
witness.
down to place.
I'm surprised the judge is allowing it to go this far. There we go.
Misdirected the witness.
Read it in the order in which you understand the record came to you and based on your experience.
This is getting to be a complete kerfuffle. The judge needs to do something. He just needs to kill the line of questioning.
So,
Let me look at the record right quick.
Yep, that's what he's gonna do. He wants to see it. He's realizing it's got a hand. He reminds me of an old country trial lawyer. About 50 damn years experience.
All right. Go ahead.
so, so Jolie's too glad to go, homie, and is the sentence HBU as you should be, that the greatest feeling, honestly. How was work though? Period T. Whatever makes us nut. Live your MTF life, chilly. So you must like to have fun, understandable. Aggressive and also get put in my place. I don't think so. I like to be aggressive and also put in my place. Do you have any kinds of lot? Heavy on that. Oh, you like to choke and be choked. Correct. Mutual. I enjoy mural aggression. I don't know. We got
That's past the part of it.
Sorry.
So the portion that came from Sucker for J, which is J Lee, to Lee Fears, you like to be choked and to like to choke and to be choked, correct?
That's what it says.
All right. I'm moving.
That is not the portion that came from Sucker for J. That came out earlier in this trial.
Calm down, girl.
Hang on, let me look into this.
They're gonna try to claim that they had a little choking thing going, and it was an accidental death. That's my guess. If I had to bet. Judge better get a handle on this. It's turning into a complete cluster.
Object to relevance. It's already been testified to. Jay Lee asked a question and then he went on to say he had no kinks. So I don't understand the
I'm
relevance.
gonna, these are cross.
And hearsay.
Court finds this is relevant information.
I think he just said, he asked for it to be introduced.
But it's already been marked, right?
Yeah.
All right, as to his introduction, I'm going to let the jury, retire to the jury room, and I'm gonna hear you about the admissibility of the document.
Yeah. I think he realizes he's letting it go on a little too long now. Now he's got to, yeah. Yeah, and they got to hear arguments. This may kill the rest of their day. I don't know. I think I know where this guy's trying to go with this, but I'm not sure he knows for right now.
Document D3, which I think has been, we talked about earlier. It was marked as D3 earlier for ID only. The defense has now asked for D3 to be admitted into evidence. I'll hear you on your objection as to why D3 should not be admitted into evidence. But before the record, this is, as I understand it, I want my opinion to be based on correct understanding. D3 is a part of what was supplied from Snapchat to law enforcement pursuant to a search warrant as part with the more recent this was the earlier part of the same search warrant that it's down there.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. This is a part of at least, well, it's two things happened. They downloaded Jay Lee's Snapchat data from his account, and then they went and got a search warrant from it, and it's in both sets.
But
So that's
in
correct.
both situations, this is information from Snapchat that was provided to law enforcement by Snapchat. I think I heard some testimony that without the search warrant, only one side of this conversation is gotten. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
I think that's right.
That's correct, Your Honor. They got-
Pursuant to search warrant, both sides would be gotten. Without the search warrant, only one side would be gotten. That's the way I understand it. Okay. And so pursuant to search warrant, law enforcement asked for a search warrant of Jay Lee's Snapchat records for a period of time that, in the period of time included this June record that's the subject of D3. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. That's I'm through asking questions, and I'll start listening now. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. My objection was as to first relevance, then hearsay. I believe Mr. Fears, the actual person who was involved in the conversation, has already testified to it. The officer has already identified it. He's already read what it said. The hearsay portion of it, Your Honor, that it doesn't fit any exception. The portions of the conversations that the state has introduced have all been the defendant's own statements, and the other statements were statements made in response to understand the full conversation. The state has not attempted to introduce hearsay conversations at all at this trial or hearsay statements. The defense has repeatedly tried to introduce hearsay statements when they could call those witnesses. This witness, Lynn Fears, has already testified and been questioned about it. We had a long back and forth.
Let me ask you a question. This would it still be hearsay if Mr. Frears talked about a conversation live with someone other than the defendant? Would Mr. Fears being here, would that somehow make a conversation between Mr. Fears and someone else other than the defendant? Would his live presence somehow make it suddenly unhearsay?
understanding. My,
If Mr. Fears was sitting in the witness stand right now, and you
Oh,
were
I
asking, you were asking him about a conversation he had, whether it be by Snapchat or any other conversation with Mr. Lee, would that not be hearsay?
yes, Your Honor, it would still be hearsay,
Okay.
but Mr. Fears was here, he can ask him questions. My
All right, y'all, I'm gonna take a break.
understanding what was going on at that time,
Join you in a minute.
Mr. Fears testified earlier, was that Mr. Fears was being impeached because he said he didn't have conversations like this. It doesn't come in substantively at that time. Mr. Fears was then asked about these conversations, he was cross-examined on them, they weren't introduced into evidence at that time.
And I remember making that. All right, I understand your objection. I'll listen to the defense now anyway.
Now, that part of the explanation in the court's ruling previously on Mr. Fears identifying and stating into the record the correctness of the statement that he had with Mr. Lee. The other part of it was going into the extent of their conversations about sexual activity and things of that nature in the courtroom. It was not hearsay, it was hearsay, but it was admissible due to the fact process where we were in the cross-examination.
As to this statement, whether Mr. Fears was here today making the statement, or whether he was looking at his Snapchat records, is it or is it not hearsay?
Is it or is it not hearsay?
Is it or is it not hearsay as it relates to a statement between somebody other than Mr. Fears and somebody other than the defendant?
No, sir, I don't believe it's hearsay.
Well,
It's two ways to evaluate. Depends on the purpose of it. It could be offered, not for the truth of the matter asserted, but the conversation and the continued conversation between the two, and also for the purpose to establish that Mr. Lee had these conversations with someone else, similar to what they placed in their case in chief at this time.
All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna admit it into evidence. I'm gonna let you cross-examine this witness on it, for impeachment purposes as to why did they consider this statement in, making a decision to eliminate Mr. Fears as a person of interest or suspect in this case. But the document itself, I think if anything, is for impeachment purposes, not for substantive purposes. And I'll let you talk about it, but I'm not going to pass it to the jury.
Your Honor, also, there are other statements between conversations similar to this between Fears and Lee, consistent with the same line pertaining to whether or not they investigated him. I've already had a mark previously in other exhibits.
Those ones that we talked about the other day,
That's
and I
correct.
said all of them are admissible except one, is that right?
That's correct.
But you get there, I'll give you, I don't think anything has changed about my opinion since that time. There was, I think, 4 documents marked for ID, and I at that time said that that witness they would not be, but I'm gonna allow you to question them on them, and when we get to that portion of it, I'll let you make an objection, and I'll rule. If there is an objection, I'll rule on it at that time.
Your Honor, I will call the previous ruling. The only reason it wasn't introducing evidence previously was I was going to redact everything out, but that one statement, Mr. Fears was on the stand, hadn't been able to do that yet. Because the court previously ruled on the content of the statement.
Let me see exactly what, it's been more than 15 minutes ago.
My understanding was the court ruled it was admissible for impeachment purposes, and that you didn't want all the other pages on there.
There
That's
was,
the only reason it wasn't introduced.
I'm thinking, I'm looking at, hang on.
Yes,
if you don't,
You said the day of when he was sure.
there was an old statement about, if you don't send, if they don't get the picture, if you don't send the picture, it's gonna go bad or something like that.
That's right.
And I said that particular statement was not enough evidentiary. It was not a claim of violent sex or anything like that. And I said that was not going to admit that one, but the rest of those I would.
Yes,
And I believe these reference documents are record now. These are just pulled out copies of this bigger record. Is that right?
that's correct.
These are not all, just to be clear for the record, these are not all conversations with Khalid Fears. If that's what he's referring to.
I'm not, whoever it is.
It doesn't matter.
Whoever it is, if those conversations that were pointed out to me in 38, 39, 40, and 41,
Right.
let me look at those.
Your Honor, for the record, before the state introduced into the record in front of the jury, a conversation between Jay Lee and Mr. Herrington, this statement right here probably would not have been admissible at the time. If you read this statement, the one we wanted to get in, I think the court said you could, it's identical in terminology. That's the almost identical to the terminology, and shows state of mind as to.
That was 38. 38 is a statement between Jay Lee and someone else. It says, I-O-N, got a pitch, and you better not be trying to pull a fast one. I'm FR about what? I guess that's an emoji or something, saying LOL.
And that's the exact same language you used with Mr. Herrington.
Yeah.
Not exact, but talking about pulling the fast one. They're inferring to the jury that that's a statement on behalf of Mr. Lee that he's scared. In this particular context of this case, that particular context, in that case, I think the jury ought to be to consider the same type statement, basically the same typing, same words, someone else,
And we
has
weren't,
to show plan and preparation.
we weren't inferring to the jury that he was scared. We were introducing the statements about Tim Harrington, and Jay Lee's a part of the conversation. Without Jay Lee's part of the conversation, it would be incomprehensible.
All right, I'm 38.
Just that
Four-
portion.
four-
We maintain that it's hearsay.
40,
One of them day of, Your Honor, you said it was coming out.
which one was the,
It doesn't actually reference violence or anything at all. It just talks about what are you about to do.
41?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that in.
Your Honor, I would just repeat that these items are hearsay, and defense counsel has not articulated why they are not hearsay. And he is in fact offering them for the truth of the matter.
No, I'm not offering for the truth of the
I'm
matter.
gonna let the
And when earlier
hang
referred
on,
to.
hang on. I'm gonna let the defense question the witness about those statements. And I have to say, did you look into other people? Did you consider this when you're making that statement? I'm not gonna allow them to be introduced into evidence. A statement from Mr. Lee to somebody we don't know from Adam, I don't know any way that can't be here, so I'll let you question on them all as long as you want to. I'm not gonna let you introduce them in evidence.
John, I think I can clean it up by having you review them, asking if these the same type of statements. that you
I'm gonna let you ask him that, but when we get through asking the questions, that they're not gonna be introduced in evidence.
Can we, Mr. Horan and I call this together?
Please do. But that's gonna be the court's ruling when y'all get through talking. Take that. The court's gonna be in I'm not gonna be in we're gonna take about a 2-minute break while the jury is. Oh, all right. Y'all talk? All right, I'm gonna make sure my record is clear on what I'm doing as far as these. I think, D3, and I think also it's D 30, 38, 39, 40, and 41, I believe, are subparts of D3. And it's all of those documents. The court's gonna find that, they are hearsay and not subject to introduction into this court. There's no hearsay exception. That being said, I will offer allow the defense to question the witness about investigating the case and making decisions about this case. Did you look at these and consider those information? But those documents will not go back to the jury at the conclusion of the case.
Thank you.
All right, everybody ready? Show the jury back in. You may.
Try to make it quick. Detective, the portion of D3 that you read a few moments ago, the message from Sucker for Jay, from Jay Lee to Mr. Fears regarding you like to choke, be choked, heavy on that. You have kinks, I like to be aggressive, and also get put in my place. Sucker for Jay said that. Did you consider that your investigation when you determined that you were going to eliminate Mr. Fears as a suspect? Do you remember reading that in?
Yeah, sure. Yes, we read it. This is also June the 13th. Before, and Mr. Fears was at work that day, so.
On June the 13th?
No, on the day of July the 8th. These messages are June the 13th.
That's fine. Did you, just tell me whether or not you, just the highlighted portions of D40, you recall content of it, whether or not you remember reviewing these now on May the 29th, appears to be Jay Lee, to some unknown individual, and state whether or not you investigated the person on that email address that you received or sent that message to. I'm asking a lot of questions, but
Yes, sir. I don't know which one you want me to answer.
did you use that information on that particular exhibit when you determined that you were going to eliminate any individual as a suspect in this case?
I'm not aware. That was from May, and there was no conversation from that person in the relative time frame of the
You find any
investigation.
conversations, aggressive conversations in any other Snapchat messages that you found in Jay Lee's chat history necessary to eliminate any other suspect?
I'm sorry, that wasn't clear.
You saw numerous, according to these documents, and I can stack up a bunch more, a lot of Snapchat messages from Jay Lee, other individuals, aggressive in nature, some of it deviant in nature. Did you use that to eliminate either Cleve Fears or any other individuals that may have been on this Snapchat chain that you found? Any of those individuals? You talked about Red Eye, and you said that you went to Red Eye because there was conversation there.
Objection on a compound question.
Gotta break it down.
Did you eliminate any of the individuals once you got to the Snapchat records? In the process of looking at Mr. Jay Lee's history, did you use any of these documents or similar documents to eliminate any suspects?
Yes, we looked at Snapchat to eliminate suspects, yes.
Okay. So the Snapchat in there between Jay Lee and Mr. Fears about choking, whether you like that, I like to be aggressive, things of that nature.
Objection, Your Honor, mischaracterization. Jay Lee says he has
That's
no
not a
kinks.
mischaracterization. It's read into the record. I'm the wrong. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about the search warrant at Mr. Herrington's apartment. You were present at that search warrant?
The search warrant.
The first one?
No,
All right, but you're familiar with the return on that search warrant, right?
yes, I've seen
You
it.
know the
Okay.
documents. And you also are involved in sending certain exhibits as a result of that search warrant to the crime lab. Is that right? Ms. Carver collected it. You made the decision on what exhibits were going to be sent to the crime lab. Fair statement?
I can't remember what was sent to the crime lab, what was sent to scales, but
I'm on-
there were some things sent, yes.
I'm
For-
just asking the question as to whether or not you were involved in making decisions on what items were sent to the crime lab in furtherance of this investigation, yes or no?
I was involved in it, yes.
Some of these evidence submission forms that I've been provided
represent that they were sent to the Mississippi Crime Lab from Mr. Harrington's apartment, and it appears it's done in a way that Ms. Carver sent it to you, and then you actually either delivered them to the lab or submitted them by evidence submission form. Is that right?
We did have evidence submitted to the crime lab, yes.
All right. Now, as far as the items out of Mr. Harrington's apartment on the first search, can you tell the court and the jury the items that you sent to Mississippi Crime Lab for analysis for DNA, for blood, for urine, or saliva? Do you remember?
I do not recall. Like I said, I don't know what was sent to the crime lab, what was sent to scales. I don't recall.
All right, let's talk a little bit. We'll go one by one then, I guess. As far as, first of all, let's go through it like this. You remember certain items getting sent to a place called Pure Gold Forensics. Do you remember that?
I remember, yes.
What items, what was the purpose of sending items out of Mr. Harrington's house to go to Pure Gold Forensics?
With that, I'd have to look at the evidence submission and stuff. I can't remember what was sent to Pure Gold, what was not. If anything out of the apartment was sent, I'd have to look.
Well, to take it back, I'm not asking you what was sent yet. I'm asking you what was the purpose of these items being sent to Pure Gold Forensics? Because what I understand about this case is stuff was sent to the crime lab, and there was a decision made to send some stuff to scales and some stuff sent to Pure Gold for filtering process. Is that right?
Yes, that is
What
correct.
did you understand that these items that were coming out of Mr. Harrington's apartment, what was the need for them to go to Pure Gold Forensic? Is this the first time y'all have ever seen anything out to Pure Gold?
Objection on a compound question.
I'll let him answer first.
Will you please rephrase the first one, because I don't know.
When did y'all, who made the decision and why did y'all make a decision to send them out to Pure Gold? That was the first question.
Who made the decision? That would have been our leadership. That wasn't my decision. I don't have control of the money. I don't have control of
All right.
what to do.
So you were told that you were going to send items to Pure Gold Forensic. Where's that lab located?
It's in California.
California. And it was sent out there to California, and Rachel Carver never told anybody, the evidence tech, that, hey, there's only a possibility that we're going to get any valuable evidence out of his apartment. Did she? I mean, y'all were looking for trace evidence out of his apartment, correct?
We were looking for trace evidence out of his apartment.
Okay.
I'm asking, is that the question? Because it just sounded like a two-part question there, and I'm trying to clarify, was that the question?
Y'all were looking for trace evidence of value out of Mr. Harrington's apartment, correct?
We looked for evidence in relation to the crime, yes.
All right. You weren't traveling under the assumption that there is a possibility that you're going to get some evidence, right? You never said, hey, guys, we're going to have this, we'll spend all this money sending this out to Pure Gold.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has already said it wasn't a part of the decision.
Y'all didn't send it out there because you thought.
Counselor, shut up and let her objection get heard.
Y'all weren't looking for evidence in the prosecution of the case.
Man, I'd have jumped up and stomped my foot on him.
Yes, we were looking for evidence, yes.
All right, so when you sent it out to Pure Gold, what was the purpose of sending it out there? Why did somebody tell y'all, or who told y'all, that you need to send it to Pure Gold for any steps for filtering of the evidence that out of Mr. Harrington's apartment and other evidence that you may have got?
We sent it there because the crime lab, or neither crime lab nor scales could conduct this type of filtering at that time.
What type of filtering was that?
It's called impact.
MBAC. What MBAC does, places tape lifts and other evidence samples through a filtering system so that there's a higher probability that you're going to gain valuable evidence off of that particular item, right? He didn't just send it to Scales, and Scales did regular DNA with your sample. Scales told y'all, hey, look,
Objection to what someone told someone.
y'all got information that this needed to go to California before it came back to Scales to be tested, right?
Correct, because neither one, the Mississippi Crime Lab nor Scales had the capabilities of doing this.
Some items you actually sent to Scales without sending to Pure Gold to do the MBAC, right?
Because Scales said they could do that, yes.
Excuse me?
Because Scales said they could analyze those,
All right.
those evidence.
So you go, you take this extra step in this case. Have you ever taken it? How long were you a detective before this event occurred on July the 7th, or start that, for July the 22nd, when you executed the search warrant on Mr. Herrington's house, Mr. Herrington's car, and I guess that's it right now. How many cases did you have that you actually had submitted DNA profiles to Scales Lab or any other DNA lab?
I can't give you a number off the top of my head how many we submitted.
All right, but none of them had been sent to Pure Gold up until that point to go through this special process of filtering, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I want to go, after you received all your testing, and let's clear something up. September the 5th, 2024 is when y'all got the test back. That's 3 or 4 months ago. I mean, 3 months ago, September the 5th, and you got the final report, right?
I don't recall the date on it,
Right,
but
Mark, in case you know.
Who's that report from?
It's some Scales biological lab. It's 13 pages. I gotta get a clean copy, Judge. I've got marks on this one.
Sugar, too long, man.
I approach your witness, Judge.
You bet.
Thank you. Detective Baker, I've handed you what's been marked for identification as exhibit number 103. Can you identify that particular item?
yes, it says Scales Biological Laboratory, DNA testing facility,
Now,
DNA report.
I want to ask you a question. You submitted, according to this report, on July the 25th, 2022, you submitted a number of items to Scales Biolab, correct?
Yes,
All
we
right.
submitted some items, yes.
All right. And July the 26th, items were sent to Scales Biolab, right?
That's what it says, yes.
All right, in that report, there's an item that says one sealed paper bag containing Jimmy Lee's toothbrush. You see that
I
in the middle
do,
of the page?
I do.
Now that is submitted for the purpose of getting a sample for Jimmy Lee's DNA, right? To compare it to whatever samples you may get or profiles that you hope to get out of certain locations, right?
The toothbrush was used to build Jimmy Lee's profile, yeah.
You went to his apartment and said, here's his toothbrush, and we'll pull his toothbrush out because he uses that toothbrush, and you expect to have his DNA on that toothbrush, right?
That's correct.
Now, the day that you got that was what day? You remember what day y'all got that?
I don't remember what day that was.
The evidence submission form, I believe, reflects that you got that on July the 22nd, I believe. I think that's right.
I don't recall.
My question is, if he disappeared on the 8th and you got that toothbrush on the 22nd, there's nothing in your investigation, was it, Detective Baker, that you felt like the DNA on that toothbrush was been integrated over 14 days, that it wouldn't be valuable as far as a sample to be used to profile his DNA, right?
Objection, Your Honor. That calls for an expert opinion. How would Detective Baker know that? He has legal foundation.
She's already testified yesterday that 14 days was too much. So there's nothing about taking this toothbrush 14 days after, or 10 days or 25 days after, that you know that you're looking for it and he may be gone, that would compromise the integrity of that investigation. You used that toothbrush as a critical part of your investigation, right?
Objection, Your Honor, because the witness who testified previously had crime scene experience. He has legal foundation.
I'm gonna line the question across, I'm gonna share.
She went deep into it. Huh? So when you went, there's nothing about the scene at Mr. Herrington's apartment that would have concerned you 14 days after his arrest, would it, Detective Baker? That the items that you recovered from that location would have been compromised in any way, right?
I'm sorry, rephrase the question.
When you went to the scene for the purpose did the search warrant to get evidence, right? Just like you went to Jay Lee's apartment to get the toothbrush to get evidence, right?
Okay.
And about the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as far as the items that were sent to the lab from, I believe, Mr. Harrington's car, my understanding is the one sealed bag containing back cargo door swab, one sealed bag containing steering wheel wrap, interior door swab, front gear shift swab, back cargo flap, stains to the right flap, stains to the left flap, stains on the front edge of the flap, bag containing front seat tape lift, front seat tape lift number 2, and the third one hair root from the hair of tape lift, one hair root from the hair of tape lift, one sealed bag containing rear seat tape lift.
Objection, Your Honor, you're questioning here.
I'm gonna go through the list and ask you questions. It's on the report.
You can't ask more than 10 if you want to, I prefer you not to.
I understand. I'm not gonna do them one at a time. You're gonna take forever. One sealed bag containing 2 bags of cargo air tape lift, and the last one on this particular July 25th submission, bag containing the swab from Timmy Herrington. Y'all took his DNA as well, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. While he was in custody. You compared those items there, and on that particular search warrant, we're gonna sum it up. Send these items to Scales Biolab, and I think they went through the process. Some of them in back, or start that. Some of them went to Scales to Pure Gold and came back, but nonetheless, none of those items reflected any DNA profile that indicated any blood, saliva, urine, or DNA of Mr. J. Lee or semen in my client's apartment. Fair statement?
So you're talking about the apartment, or are you talking about this first part where it came from
Those items that I've just identified.
Well, that's not from the apartment.
That's not, excuse me, from the car, I'm sorry.
So.
We are still
Could you please
on the
rephrase your
same
question
dude.
to
None of
understand
these
what you're saying?
items gave you any
This guy is a
DNA profile
a
or evidence of value.
paint by numbers of how not to question a juror. I mean, a witness.
My
This
client.
guy sucks.
There was, Jay Lee's DNA profile did not come back,
Okay.
according to the report. I'm not an expert, so.
Yeah, that's why you can't testify to it.
Now, as far as
That was a good little snippet he got in there.
evidence that
This is dumb as shit.
on the submission form,
This is stupid.
November the 15th.
Here it is, 4 o'clock Central. They
that was
still
sent
going.
It was originally sent to Pure Gold. And that's the filtering process, right? Pure Gold, they do the special filtering process, right?
Correct.
The gray mat from Timmy Herrington's apartment, the pink mat from Timmy Herrington's apartment, small trash can, and it came out of the back of the box truck, the blue moving blanket out of the back of the box truck.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hand, you said November 15th, correct?
The November 15th transmission.
All I see is one sealed bag containing filters. That's all I see.
I understand that. We got a report back.
Well, handed
from
the damn
sales
report.
laboratory that these particular items,
Objection. There's no foundation. There ain't nothing. The witness has no clue what you're asking him. My God. What the hell's wrong with this fool? Man, I'm going to have to be back on here in like 5 hours. I'm going to be exhausted. Lord of mercy.
I'll show you the Pure Gold submission. If you'll make, and you'll agree with me, Detective, y'all had like 4 E1s and 4 E2s. There's a lot of different
A lot of
E1s.
different, it was different.
It was different. It's difficult to report, but all right, let's just go down like this because I have some. The gray mat, which was Pure Gold 1A, it appears to be the gray mat from the box shop. I'm sorry, I said apartment. Fair statement.
Oh my God, you're losing the jury.
PG 24.
Oh my God, this is misery. And I'm not even there.
Gray mat, pink mat from the box truck.
I just let him do it.
I mean, you remember where y'all got them, right?
I don't remember exactly.
Well, hell no, he don't. It's been 2 years ago, dummy.
Now, my understanding,
He got it out of a car.
Witnesses stated that they don't remember it. He's telling them where it is.
You're. Judge, you're gonna have to pull in some reins here. This is getting to be a bit on the tertiary side.
submission, tell me whether or not that appears to be the items on, that were submitted, on August 24th, and ultimately tested at Pure Gold. Those items right
Look at that pile of shit. They can't
there.
tell.
Gray mat, pink mat, small trash can, black blanket. The blue moving blanket. The other moving blanket, there's 4 moving blankets and a spool of large stretch wrap. Those were taken out of the box truck, correct?
Yes, they came from the
Okay. And they were sent out there to that filtering process out at, California Pure Gold. And correct me if I'm wrong, that no hair, no saliva, no blood, no urine, or DNA profile fitting Jimmy Lee was found in the back of that box truck. Those items that came out of the box truck, correct?
if these are the items here that came out of the box truck, because they're different numbers, they're different.
They don't even know what damn evidence
I
they're
don't have
looking
the
at.
same amount as you do, so,
Well, the items that I've identified, I know they came back with different numbers, but they went out with numbers, y'all's numbers, but they came back with different numbers. None of the items that came out of the back of the box truck produced any evidentiary value in the prosecution of this case. Fair statement.
no, I didn't say there wasn't any evidentiary value but Jay Lee's DNA was not found by the process.
All right.
Which means they could have cleaned it
As far
up.
as this lab report, there wasn't any evidentiary value of those particular items. Fair statement.
I'm sorry, phrase it, or say it again.
The items I just identified, there's, according to Scales Bio Lab, after they got filtered, and it came back, there was no, they didn't find anything of any evidentiary value on those items for the prosecution of this case. Scales Bio Lab.
Yeah, I don't understand what you mean by evidentiary value, but Jay Lee's DNA did not come back. I don't understand what he means by evidentiary value.
All right. Now, you also submitted, according to this report, you, Ryan Baker, sent certain items that came out of Jay Lee's car to Scales Bio Lab. You remember doing that? You actually picked them up.
You said this report. Are we still referring to this report? What report are we?
Talking about the Scales report.
Okay.
Look at
Just make sure we're
the-
still on the same page.
Look at the second page of the report, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
November 17th, the following items were received by Scales Bio Lab from Ryan Baker. My understanding is these items were sent out. If you look in that report, it says unsealed MFL carrier package containing 4 sealed envelopes. Those 4 items, correct me if I'm wrong, were samples taken out of Jay Lee's car. Is that right?
I don't remember. I do remember taking some items to Scales, but I don't remember without having to go back and look at these numbers again.
Nonetheless, if you'll go back to the report, go to conclusions, if you don't mind, in the back of the report.
I object at this time. I believe the witness can testify generally, but if he's gonna go into detail regarding expert conclusions, I think that's appropriate.
You look at the report.
Come on, Judge, you gotta call this. I mean, you cannot just let him keep doing this.
Evidentiary value.
That's just not acceptable.
Prosecution of this case whatsoever. Items that apparently came out of, look at SPL item 3040, 30470, all the way down to 73. You find that in the report. Look at page number 16.
Tell him then,
Read it
dummy.
for me, please.
I only have 13.
You're leading the witness, so go ahead and lead
Number
him.
16 on page 11. Number 16,
Okay, number 16 on page 11.
yes. You look at the middle of the page. 001-T4.
Okay.
It says,
Objection, Your Honor, reading in the expert opinion. And the expert opinion is what's made, an expert should.
I'll have him read it, Your Honor, then ask him a question. Read the content of paragraph 16 in that report.
A partial DNA profile.
Objection, Your Honor.
Just read it to yourself, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to fix my camera. Hook up another monitor. Ghetto rigging it.
You ready?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. It appears in that particular profile you delivered, came from Jay Lee's car. Timothy Herrington is excluded as a source of the DNA profile in that car.
I'm asking a question.
He's excluded as the donor of that DNA profile in that car. Fair statement?
May I give an explanation after my answer?
You can explain anything you want.
Thank you. It does not say it excluded Jelly's DNA.
What's it say?
It says there were no conclusions. It didn't say excluded.
Well, read it then. It says Timmy Harrington is excluded as the source of this partial profile. No conclusions from Jimmy Lee's toothbrush as a potential source of this profile can be drawn. It clearly says that Timmy Harrington is excluded. Correct?
I'm sorry, you are correct.
Okay.
Well, it's your excuse me. It's y'all's
That's what
evidence.
I'm getting at,
Damn.
Mr. Bacon, I won't go through all these. Apparently, you have not reviewed this report before you came in here today?
I glanced through it, yes, I got it.
Pretty detailed, isn't it?
And I barely understand it myself.
But as far as
What the hell?
this wheelbarrow right here, we'll just go to the items we can see. How these impact things, they're in a filter, right? And they're basically microscopic, right? And small items.
I've never used one before, I don't know.
Put a lot of time and effort in this investigation, right?
I did.
A lot of money went out there to California, didn't it?
We do anything for the family.
But my question is, some of the items that y'all sent out there, they sent some of them back because y'all hadn't sent them enough money for the testing, right?
In the Sam
I don't recall.
Hill. What's wrong with this stupid
I
monitor?
read it last time. You don't
I don't
remember that?
recall it. You have to tell me where
I'm
that's
just
at.
asking you, they sent some of them back because they charged y'all, you had, some of them came back.
Who's they?
Go to this wheelbarrow right here.
I bet this sucker's dead.
Right here. Y'all did the same thing with this wheelbarrow. Took a sample off of it, everything, and sent it out, get it tested, no DNA profile.
Oh,
Jimmy Lee
found it.
On the results. that came back from
Finally.
this wheelbarrow, correct?
Damn it.
You know that's a fact, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, look at that.
Got your question. Nike Jordan shoes submitted on January the 9th. The gray Nike hoodie sweatshirt, the gray Nike hoodie black trainer.
Got it up and working. Got a second monitor. I got an iMac here that I can't use because I can't. It's too old. So I'm having to use another monitor.
Submitted to the lab, the Gillen t-shirt.
Laptop. Sorry.
The one black pair of black shorts, gray underwear, an artificial nail, the bag containing a pair of gray sweatpants, and the fractions of the semen stain. The only thing of all those submissions that came back was the used condoms that showed semen, right?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look back through this again.
Let's
You
go.
named a lot of things there. I'd have to go one by one because I'm not sure.
Let's go to the conclusions. I thought you,
Like you said, there's a lot of things here.
my understanding is that the duct tape came back no DNA profile of Jimmy Lee or Mr. Herrington, right?
I don't recall. I'd have to look. You'd have to show me where it says it in here.
And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong,
This is a horrible
used
display.
condoms that were in the photograph that Ms. Carver showed that she displayed on the tub there, they weren't even tested. You know, why would they not test it? A used condom.
Hey,
Oh my
that would be something you
God.
would have to answer because
That would be their
requested
freaking
everything.
question, not his, dummy. Oh my God, this guy's
George Shiro.
retarded.
Is the individual
God, that's so
that
annoying
would
when people
know that answer, the guy who
you call
wrote
the
this
damn
report? Is that
Yes, sir. He
right?
would have to give you
Expert.
that answer. I can't give you why when we requested
Oh,
it and he did.
man.
That's what the report says he did. Then
This
I
is
can't
driving
give
me
you that
nuts,
why.
and I'm not even a lawyer.
If you would, go
Oh my
to
God.
number 34 of the report, which does not include an opinion, only a statement, and read it out loud for the jury, please.
Objection, Your Honor, to reading it out loud.
I'll let read it itself first, anyway. It's hard for me to tell whether it's objective or not, but I don't know what it says.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Prior to asking to read, you're asking a question about it anyway.
Does that represent Mr. Shiro's statement about those items in that number 34 about certain items that were not examined?
Yes, that appears to be so.
And does that statement inconsistent with what you just testified to?
That there were some not tested, is that what you're asking?
No, not tested. They can be examined upon request. That's what that report says. Right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. Identify those items in that report that Mr. Shiro, the lab director and examiner, been provided to me in discovery as a state's witness, said the items that were submitted to him, his agency, that were submitted but not examined because they weren't requested to be examined. Tell me what those items are in 34.
Objection, Your Honor, the witness has not testified inconsistently. He said he asked him to test them.
She's correct.
I'm gonna give you an opportunity to let the witness show, if he asked to be tested, I'll give you an opportunity on reading that to show where they were asked to be tested.
List the items for the jury's benefit, the items that the director down there said were not examined because they weren't requested to be examined.
Keys, card, DL, and receipts, Walmart bag with gauze, latex.
This is the same question. He said he was gonna ask it from you, and he just said, read it again.
I'm going to allow him to.
Oh my God. This is not how you
Ask the
cross-examine.
witness.
This is not how you, this is
This person
bad.
said y'all didn't ask me to examine.
That's correct.
When you have your chance, you'll have the opportunity to redirect them and say, look right here, did you ask them or not anyway? Go ahead.
Please start over, Secretary Baker. Let me just go through it for you. The black Ford Fusion keys, card, driver's license and receipts, the Walmart bag and gauze, the latex gloves, and 8 used condoms and wrappers were not examined. However, they can be examined on request.
The Ford Fusion keys were never sent down there because we never found the Ford Fusion keys, so I don't understand where this comes from.
Is there a picture
But
of
other
the
than that-
receipt of the car?
I haven't seen a Ford
What
key.
the damn hell?
His car was a Ford.
His keys.
Jay Lee's car was a Ford and we never
We
found.
got a photograph in the evidence to take.
Objection, that's misstating the evidence. There's no
I'm on the
picture of that.
I'm gonna ask you to rephrase the question about what kind of keys y'all are.
You sucks, dude. Freaking get your shit together, warrior.
A
on.
keys with a
Up with this.
black
It's horrible.
cover for the actual fob. It didn't have the fob in it. Photograph in State's Exhibit 89. So the black Ford Fusion keys, I assume that's what that George is talking about.
There were keys, but there was not car keys on the ring.
All right. The Walmart bag with gauze, that was found in Timmy's apartment, right?
Yes,
And the latex gloves found in Timmy's apartment, right?
there were latex gloves found in his apartment.
Got pictures of them in the evidence. The 8 used condoms, 3 of which had semen in it. according to this report, were not examined. However, they can be upon request. Now, you got 3 used condoms in an apartment where 2 men are having sex, apparently, maybe, we don't really know, and they weren't examined. Can you explain to the jury why that type of important evidence in a case of this importance was not examined, Detective Baker?
I can't answer why Mr. Shiro did not examine these items. Because I personally, myself, over the phone, speaking to him, asked him to do every single item.
Detective Baker? Read 35, if you don't mind. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Thank you. Let him read it.
And you had a chance to read it.
Yes,
Does it likewise say that the hair collected from the t-shirt, these hairs were not examined? However, they can be examined upon request.
that's what it says.
Now, this report came in September the 5th, 2024. Do you remember when my client got indicted by the grand jury?
Objection, Your Honor. That is evidence.
I'm asking you.
I don't correct. I don't,
September, repeat the question.
When did Mr. Herrington get indicted by the grand jury of Lafayette County? If you remember.
I don't recall the exact date.
Would you agree with me sometime February 23, somewhere around, it's early 23, right?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Okay. So you're telling me that y'all didn't get a report till September 2024, September the 5th? Didn't have any idea whether or not you had any evidence on Mr. Herrington. And you I'm not gonna go into the content of the testimony, grand jury, but you testified in the grand jury.
Because you shouldn't be going into it now.
But you had these items as evidence, I assume, against my client.
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh,
I'll ask you this, Detective Baker. Did you ever get a preliminary report from the grand jury prior to the time, a preliminary report from Scales Laboratory prior to the time that you presented your testimony, whatever it was, to the grand jury?
I don't recall. I don't think so. But I don't recall.
Well, it's a fair statement that you didn't have any DNA evidence from the crime lab at that time. Right?
I'm sorry. Restate your question, please.
dude, you have lost this man.
Or had you inquired as to was there any final reports on any DNA evidence?
You
prior
have
to the
lost
time
this poor man. Leave him alone.
This young man was indicted. All right. Do you recall whether or not you submitted any other items to the crime lab that were not tested other than these items that we just talked about?
I don't recall any of that.
When you got the September 5th, 2024 report, did you call the crime lab and said, hey, George, y'all supposed to have tested these items that we talked about a few minutes ago?
He provided it as exculpatory evidence. They're not required to test
I
them.
don't
You
recall
can.
seeing
You're the
that there
defense
was
lawyer.
any
You're supposed to be
not
testing them.
tested. So therefore, I don't recall making a phone call.
Now, we talked a little bit about already no
Okay,
evidence
this isn't
value.
working.
You likewise testified on direct examination.
This did not work the way I thought it would.
You identified my client running out of Molly Bar.
Darn it.
apartments, and he had a shirt on
What the
his
hell
neck.
is this?
You received lab report.
This
from,
sucks.
I believe the crime lab in Batesville, I believe. And it indicated, no blood, urine, DNA profile from, fingerprint analysis did not show, had some parcels in it that couldn't be identified, but it didn't show my client's fingerprints in the car, correct, on the driver's side.
Jay Lee's car?
Jay Lee's car.
That's correct.
All right. But there are some, in all fairness, there are some, I believe, some fingerprint reports that just basically say unidentified fingerprints, right?
Without looking at the report, I don't know.
You wouldn't dispute that.
Without looking at the report, I can't give you a straight
And-
answer without looking at the report.
Do you recall the talking, did you interview the record driver?
I think
Mike, what's his last name? Adams? Kent, yeah.
I believe I called him one day, yes.
He was adamant, was he not? And I'll talk to him. That he did not see that car in that spot when he was doing his rounds. He was adamant. It says in the report, it doesn't say he was uncertain. In his report,
Judge Schneider, is there a question?
I'm getting to it.
Testifying.
Do you remember him telling you that?
He didn't tell me that.
You remember seeing it in the report?
It seems like I remember seeing something, yes.
You got a report, ready to look at it.
Do you remember that coming to your attention, whether or not you made that inquiry?
Judge Schneider asked and answered, he already stated.
I'm gonna, let's just find the report.
Find the
No
report.
question about it.
All right. The circumstances surrounding, I want to talk a little bit about the forensic download that you did on, I believe, the Snapchat. I think it's introduced in the evidence. You were able to review the text history between my client and Mr. Love, Kadarius Love. Did you review those items as part of the return on the search warrant?
I remember there was some conversation between your client, Mr.
I'm
Love.
going to sum it up a little bit, and then I'll see if you correct me if I'm wrong. The gist of it was that Ms. Watson had her some screws left in the truck, right? Timmy reached out to her earlier that night, talked to Kadarius Love, and he said they're in the truck, things like that. They had a conversation about it. And also Tyson Key was in that conversation as well, right? You remember that?
The three had a conversation.
Well, it's not in your timeline, but would you have a problem in the break with us putting that conversation in that timeline? And another exhibit, let you look at it? Have a problem with that?
No, you're talking about you're gonna put it together and then ask me to look at it? Is that what I understand?
Correct. That was marked. Statement, page 47. Yeah. Wow.
One and four.
104.
Not approach with you.
You may.
Detective speed this up a little bit. Are you familiar with, just look over this report, I'm gonna get you a lot of this stuff at the top, doesn't really matter. This appears to be, tell me whether or not you've reviewed that report. Start right here where Kent make a comment about, he identified himself as Michael Kent, band coach.
Objection, Your Honor. I've let this go on, but the witness testified he spoke to Michael Kent. He has personal knowledge and experience in speaking to Michael Kent. Now he wants him to testify to another officer's report about Michael Kent.
I'm going, he's on cross-examination. You gonna get your turn at him too anyway.
You have a chance to look at it?
I'm still working through. Okay.
You see the statement from Mr. Kent in there regarding Jay Lee's vehicle? Just answer, you see it in there?
Yes, I see.
Does that refresh your recollection as to the conversations?
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I've been messing with this,
What Mr. Kent said about
trying to set up a new web camera and another screen, and I just ain't work.
Just for the record.
I ain't done squat correct,
When a
so
witness is
forgive
asked
me.
several times through the course of his testimony.
Yes, he has.
During the course of your investigation, did you learn this? During the course of your investigation, did you learn that? During the course of investigation, did you learn this? That's telling me somebody done it and told you about it. If you're gonna ask questions, you have to ask that. You're gonna be expected to be cross-examined like that anyway, and
Thank
that's
you.
gonna be the court's general ruling.
Good. Now we're talking.
That's a report of representations from Kent pertaining to the vehicle at Molly Hall, correct?
It is.
And in fact, Mr. Kent was adamant that he hadn't seen that car in that location, parking spot 43, when he got there at 1:15. When he got there at 1:15 and the officer ran into him, the term used in that report is
Well, I am gonna need a keyboard, ain't I?
that he hadn't seen it.
That's the language, but
Yeah.
we watched cameras and that car never came out unless it was on the back of the tow truck.
That's not my question.
Why am I not able to connect to that? Why not? Why am I not able to connect to this other monitor?
Saw it in that parking spot.
Your Honor,
This is
I'm
annoying.
objecting not because he's not asking about the
I'm
ruling.
asking the question.
He was adamant that he didn't recognize the car inside Molly Bar Trails apartment complex until the second time.
Your Honor, he's not asking about the report.
Unless you can just, at this point, I don't know what the first time and second time is anyway.
That's in the report.
All right.
He's not asking about the report, Your Honor, he's asking about the witness or what he said.
You've got to give me some more information before we do the testify. I don't know enough to be rude, okay?
He was questioned about the vehicle, correct? And he made a statement that he hadn't seen it in there earlier. He obviously missed it, but that was his statement, that he hadn't seen it inside Molly Bar Trails, correct?
Let me say this, unless we can, have some testimony on what earlier means, I'm gonna exclude this testimony.
Earlier that day.
If there's information about what
Mhm.
earlier means,
Earlier that day, Your Honor. after 7:25 in the morning. He was inside.
Maggie, hand me that keyboard down there, would you? Thank you, right there.
Correct?
Yeah.
Look,
No, thank
Mr.
you.
Kent?
yes.
Yes.
He told y'all, he was adamant, he did not see that car, he didn't recognize, didn't remember that car inside Molly Bar Trail.
I do not have enough room
According to this.
for any of
officer-
this.
We know it was in there, because we saw it come in there, right?
Yes, we did.
Fair statement. Say-
This guy has been given so much freedom, it's insane to
Missed
question.
the car, or it
This
wasn't
shit would have been
car,
shut
he
down.
stopped 43. Fair statement.
Excuse my French. This would have been shut down so fast with my
Or it could not be
trials.
parked
It's
43.
not even, I wouldn't have even been able to think about the question.
I think the photos.
The judge would have been like,
pretty clear about where it was parked.
don't even go there.
He didn't come back in till 1 o'clock when it was parked on 43, right?
I forget, I don't recall what time he said he came back, but
Okay. Now, you have,
I don't know why this isn't
we're
working.
gonna go down to,
Did once.
go back to
and
what
it
we
just
started
stopped.
on about the text messages between, they've been introduced into evidence already. I'm not gonna go through them one by one. I just wanna ask you.
I need to get a
remember
Bluetooth keyboard
seeing-
for it.
Apparently,
Too many cables.
Harrington text
Way too many.
Tyson.
All
He
right,
needs
so
those screws tomorrow. Remember seeing that in the dump?
yes, there was conversation about screws, yes.
And that was at 12:55.
oh,
And we talked earlier about Tyson saying something to Timmy. I left them at the house, gonna have to go get them. I'm in Hattiesburg, correct? You remember that?
Yes.
And
all right.
they go down and talk about the truck, but it's a fair statement, is it not? During that conversation, they've already been introduced in evidence that Mr. Harrington had already planned on going somewhere the next
It's just
day.
not coming up.
Before we had a conversation with Jay Lee later on in the evening, correct?
Yes, it appears that he had, he was going to Miss.
Just lost my stream. I just lost my stream. This stupid thing. Come on, work. What's up with here? And I'm afraid it's dead. No. No. This stupid computer. God dang it.
And the screws were in the truck. They
Yes.
were put them in the truck, right?
Yes, so according to that conversation, the screws were in the truck.
This is not making no sense.
Now, according to
At
what you
all.
provided in discovery.
Not
correct me if
at
I'm
all.
wrong, that at 2:30:33 to 03:10:42,
Man,
you talked about some other Google searches,
this is a damn nightmare.
the Christian faith Google searches.
I have lost all ability to mirror screens.
Minutes and 42 seconds. Do you remember seeing that in the?
Yes,
Huh?
yes, there was some searches of Bible verses,
What
yes.
item is that in that?
What's he having? A
I don't know what
conscience
item it is.
crisis of the conscience? I mean, come on.
Right on the page. What
It's,
page is that?
yeah, come on. This is
I don't
getting to be
have the
stupid,
extraction, but-
counselor.
Do you agree with me during that time?
No, I don't agree.
30:33, 3:10:42, that search occurred, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, say that, so tell you the time again.
20:30 to 3:10, basically.
Yeah, I think there was some searches with Bible verses during that time frame. Yes.
And as far as that evening, with the beginning of 2:54:35 a.m., Jimmy Lee sent Tim Harrington, who's already been introduced into evidence, not on your
It's not making no
timeline,
damn sense.
or you haven't testified about it yet.
Possibility to do this.
Jay Lee
This is just
sent
not
Tim
right.
Harrington 3 blank messages.
Yo, this sucks trying to mess with an old iMac that you're hacked
No, I did not.
trying to use. This just sucks.
Well, the first conversation that occurred
Here.
The first conversation that occurred between Jay Lee and Tim Harrington that night was when Jay Lee at 02:24:44 a.m. asked Tim Harrington, "You in Oxford?"
Correct,
That was, and Tim Harrington did not respond, right?
correct. He did not.
I just wanted to clarify the prior question. I just didn't hear it. He said that 3 blank messages.
This is a disaster. This is not how you do
That's
cross
What he said.
or direct.
That
This
was
is
my point. He
horrible.
said it wasn't true.
Dang, Judge, get your
So
stuff
the
together.
first
I mean, just don't let them go ramshot.
between Harrington
This
and
is
Lee that night
ridiculous.
was when
It's just
Jay Lee
ridiculous.
reached
I
out
mean,
to Tim Harrington at 02:24:44, right?
Yes, Jay Lee reached out to Tim Harrington at that time, yes.
All right, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to make sure that Timmy Harrington did not respond and Jay Lee showed up
Time
at
out.
his
Time out.
apartment unannounced at 4:00, correct?
I don't know, I can't answer that question. I don't know if he was unannounced or not.
Well, you're the one, the tech guy. You
That's
provide,
purely speculation. He said he didn't have.
I'll let him rephrase, I'll let him be more specific in his questions.
find the. Well, Detective Baker, let me ask you this. The whole theory is that my client in Beverly,
oh, is this even connected?
Lee, over to
What are you
his
connected to now?
apartment later on in the night. But it's my understanding is that Mr. Lee showed up unannounced at 4:00. Did you find out how, during your investigation, how Mr. Lee ended up going to Mr. Harrington's apartment? He drove over there, right?
He did drive over there, correct.
Find anywhere in your cell right dump.
Cellbrite. I see. I told you.
20
It's Cellbrite. I knew that's what they were using.
When Jay Lee
That's
asked
an
Mr. Harrington
Israeli
to go in
program.
Oxford,
It's
that
pretty
Mr.
good stuff.
Harrington invited him over there before Mr. Lee showed up at his apartment.
No, I didn't see any messages between the two during that time.
Fair statement, man. Mr. Lee showed up unannounced to Mr. Harrington's apartment at 4:00.
Did not see any conversation between them during that time. I cannot answer whether he showed up unannounced or not.
Okay. Now,
I don't know. I tried another way. I don't know. This ain't working either.
you previously testified under oath on August the 9th, 2022, that, and I'll use the quote I need to, under oath, you stated that Mr. Harrington made a fake account, Red Eye, that evening. You remember that testimony?
I don't recall that exact words.
Well, listen,
Well, I'm just going to put it in your mouth. We're going to say you said it
Whether or not
anyway.
You made that statement that he made a fake account, Red Eye. You already had those records at the time you testified August the 9th, right?
Did, yes.
That account had been created well in advance of that evening by Timmy Harris. I'm not saying he didn't deactivate it, but he didn't create that account just for that conversation, did he?
No, he did not create the account just for the conversation.
Yeah,
no.
almost.
That's not what you said previously. Testimony that gave the appearance that he created for the sole purpose of talking to Mr. Lee, and that just wasn't true, was it? When you made that, when you stated that under oath.
Well, it could be fake or it could be alternate. It could be used either interchangeably. He used an alternate account that wasn't his name identifying himself.
Well, that was part of your testimony to leave the impression that there was some type of subterfuge or some type of plan on part of Mr. Herrington to trick him to come over there, right?
Mr. Harrington lured him over there, yes.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit. Right. You're saying in creating that account, lured him over there.
I didn't say create to lure him over.
All right.
This guy's
Yeah,
not doing a
no.
bad job. He's just getting away with murder.
When people are arguing or luring with each other, since you've done this a lot, do they put LOL in their messages, emojis, things like that?
It's possible, yes.
Okay. LOL.
Yes, under no
Now,
argument.
correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll let the jury decide before we bring the end, but when someone says possibly later tonight, that's what Jay Lee told Timmy, possibly later tonight. He's putting conditions on it. I may come tonight, I may not come tonight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That statement alone, is that luring somebody? I may come, I may not come.
That's Jay Lee's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jay Lee's. Right, so that's Jay Lee's.
Possibly later tonight. Right?
That's Jay Lee's messages.
And he says earlier, Jay Lee to Timmy, what do you do to keep deleting? What do you keep deleting? And that's it. Just okay. He's just telling him, say okay or not, right? That's Jay Lee talking to Timmy, right?
Yeah, he's asking him what he's deleting, yes.
Yeah. Just tell me okay.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation on direct, when I was, talking about the conversations, I wasn't allowed to put in my.
Say that was Jay Lee.
I'm not sure if I remember what testimony we're talking about.
Yeah, me neither, Judge. Nobody does.
Sustain objection right now. Can you tell me what you're talking about?
Right.
Okay.
I'm just stating what Jay Lee said to Timmy.
You can state at this time what Jay Lee
He
said to
said-
Timmy.
Why is it finding that, but not vice versa? This don't make sense. Stupid. Finally? Am I? No. Still isn't working. Oh. This is just bonkers. I've lost stream. I've lost everything. This is so weird. I wish I never started this. I never should have started it. Come on. Go back. Thank you. Got too much going on for the stream to lose. There we go.
What do you
Still
keep
going.
deleting? And that's it. Just okay. So Jay Lee
I don't
was
care.
talking to Timmy. Just was
Go.
talking
Put.
okay.
I mean, we've been over this.
No, that was
Jay Lee
a
said, Timmy said.
Just make sure
back to
she-
him, I missaid something. And
She needs to
okay,
eat.
I'll do it. Right?
I have to look back. I don't think you're quoting him correctly.
I misspelled something. That's Timmy responding to Jay Lee like, I misspelled something.
Let me describe this, what he's looking for.
It's the 5:54:19 a.m. 5:46:21 a.m. response. You see that?
Yes, okay. Tim Harrington said, yes, I misspelled something, and okay, I'll do it.
And the next message reads, YK, what does that mean to you as far as your investigative skills? You know?
You know,
All right. This is Jay Lee to Tim Harrington. If you try something fast, it won't end up good for you tonight.
will not cut up for you right.
End up for you right. Okay, that's right. Sorry about that. is there anything in the conversation prior to that that indicates whatsoever that Timmy Harrington was luring Jay Lee over there?
Yes,
Prior to
sir.
that.
At 5:25, he told me to come back. He kept asking, you coming or no?
I said prior to that.
That is prior to that.
I'm talking about at 5:48, is anything in there?
The witness has answered your question.
That's been picture law comments.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. You take that as a threatening text message from Tim Harrington to Jay Lee, are you coming or not? That's threatening?
Should lure him over. And yes, he's trying to get him come back over.
Objection, never knew the approach.
Come on. She didn't, hey. We can go through all three of them. If you're gonna go through one, go through all of them.
That's right. Detective Baker. That's not, that, you see anything that was a threat from Timmy Harrington to Jay Lee? Prior to that comment, that he says, if you're gonna try something fast, it won't end up good for you, right? Anything prior to that, you see as a threat, first of all.
All right, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and end this. This is becoming retarded with these two people. I've got too much. I can't get my screens fixed for working. I got to get shit working for later tonight at 9. So I got to cut out. All right. If you catch it, yeah, I'd probably bail on half of this. This has been a bust of a trial day.
Anything there's.
All you're seeing is a country lawyer, a judge
Yes,
that's
there's something.
kind of letting them do what the hell
he
they
said,
want to
like, you've
do.
done some questionable
Whereas you
shit,
get
but
into
that was too much.
hang on. Whereas if you get into a strict rule interpretation, man, 90% of this should have been just squashed. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the shit show. Dang it, I'm sorry for sticking in with it. I thought we'd get through it, but I just got to get some stuff done. All right, thanks.